I happen to have a love-hate relationship with self-destructive characters. On the one hand, I often find myself watching in confounded amazement thinking, how do they not recognize what they're doing? And on the other hand, I watch in confounded amazement all the while thinking, wow, they can't even recognize what they're doing. Ultimately, even though these characters cause me seemingly endless frustration, I can still understand and sympathize with them. Maybe even root for them. And this is a mark of a well-written self-destructive character, which is what I'll be talking about today. In this video, I'll be presenting 3 different characters, 2 of which managed to successfully pull off this trope, and 1 who didn't. As always, if you enjoy the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future content. Also, leave a comment below, and if you're interested, consider becoming a patron. Link in the description. So let's start with Yennefer from the Witcher series on Netflix. We see through Yennefer's character introduction that she is frequently mistreated and looked down on, even by members of her own family, because of her appearance. Obviously, this is where the sympathy factor comes in. Yennefer is made to believe that because of something as shallow as her looks, she is somehow undeserving of love and affection. So she tries to find comfort in exercising what little control she can over her life. Whatever tasks she can perform, she insists on doing herself. And when her father sells her off, she refuses to go with this strange woman who lays claim to her. But she's taken anyway, and in a desperate attempt to reclaim control, Yennefer tries to end her own life. This attempt fails, but then Yennefer realizes that her circumstances might not be so awful after all. She's being offered something that might give her more control over her life, possibly even the lives of others. And if she can't be beautiful, at least she can be powerful. Yennefer is pursuing the superficial because that's what she's been taught really matters. But when she learns that her new life won't proceed as she had hoped, she makes another desperate grab for control, paying a hefty price to achieve beauty and weaseling her way into the position she wanted. But neither pans out in the end. Her coveted position leads to disappointment, near death, and then her eventual decision to become an outcast. And the price she paid for favorable looks begins to torment her soon after. Furthermore, she blames others for her misfortune rather than acknowledging that she made mistakes. She pushes away those trying to give her the very thing she needs in favor of what she thinks she needs.
I gave you all I could give. What more do you want? Everything.
Before I address the turning point for self-destructive characters, I'd like to talk about my second example for this character archetype, that being Catra from Shira and the Princesses of Power. In Catra's introduction, we see that while her mother figure Shadow Weaver seemingly has nothing but praise for Adora, Catra is the recipient of harsh words and outright dismissal.
You've completed your training course in record time.
Well, that wasn't just me, you know. Catra did too.
Yes. How someone as unmotivated as you completed the course in that time, I'll never know.
And because of this, she's essentially been pitted against the person she sees as her closest friend. Being second best just doesn't sit right with her, especially since there appears to be no reason for it other than Adora is Adora and Catra is Catra. To make things worse, even after Adora switches sides in the ongoing war, Catra is still treated like second best. It's obvious that no matter what she does, Shadow Weaver will never give her the recognition she desires. So she turns to another authority figure in search of it. Perhaps if Hordak recognizes her talent, she could even replace Shadow Weaver. And she does. But it's surprisingly unsatisfactory. Then she discovers that there's an even higher power that she can appeal to. Horde Prime is somewhere out there, and if only he could see her capabilities, she'd finally get the recognition she deserves.
Now we can finally end this. I didn't need Entrapta, I didn't need Adora or Scorpia, and I don't need you!
But in reality, it's not recognition that she wanted, but her friends.
We both know this was never what you really wanted.
And now, after telling herself over and over that being top dog was all she needed, she's alone, and none of that matters anymore. Now, there comes a time when a self-destructive character must face themselves so that they can grow beyond their harmful tendencies. Obviously, this can look different for different characters. For Yennefer, facing herself was meeting Ciri. Ciri, like Yennefer, is self-destructive, but there's a key difference between the two. Where Yennefer is selfish, Ciri is selfless. For the first time, Yennefer is seeing someone so much like herself, yet so different. And she finds that ultimately what she originally required of Ciri simply cannot be asked.
I was stupid, and I was selfish.
As a side note, I really loved what Season 2 of The Witcher did for Ciri's and Yennefer's characters, and I look forward to seeing them interact more in future seasons. But what about Catra? For Catra, facing herself was a tad more literal. After being brought to her lowest point through her own actions, she had her faults brutally laid out for her by Double Trouble.
But did you ever stop to think? Maybe they're not the problem?
It's you. You drive them away, Wildcat.
And by having them presented so clearly, she simply couldn't ignore them anymore. So now I come to the final example on my list. The self-destructive character who didn't quite manage to pull off her archetype, resulting in a largely unsympathetic, even inconsistent character. That character is Vala Maldron from Stargate SG-1. Now I'd like to note before I delve into Vala that another key element to making self-destructive characters likable is giving them a redeeming quality. If a character has such a quality, then it can help counter their self-destructive tendencies, giving the audience yet another reason to root for them. Vala's introduction unfortunately presented neither sympathy nor a redeeming quality. In the episode where she debuted, Vala endangered an entire crew by leaving them stranded on a damaged ship. Furthermore, she kidnapped, tortured, and sexually harassed a main character with whom the audience had had 7.5 seasons to build a good rapport with. I think it goes without saying that this is a perfect recipe for making a very unlikable character. Further still, nearly everything she tells said main character turns out to be a lie, establishing her as grossly manipulative. And among these tall tales she spins to gain sympathy is her genuinely tragic backstory. But because it's presented in this way, it's made to feel like another lie. Even in later episodes, it's suggested that she made the whole thing up.
Sometimes I just forget what you've been through, if you've actually been through any of that. Are you messing with me?
Is it working?
You get out. Go.
Yet we see proof that it is true, which only serves to create confusion rather than sympathy. But getting back to her introduction, at the end of the episode, Vala only reluctantly cooperates with MC and crew before staging her escape. No sign of a redeeming quality in the slightest. And we continue to see nothing but destructive qualities from her for the next 5 episodes, after which she turns on a dime into a daring and selfless hero. Okay, let's focus back in on the sympathy aspect. In the second episode with Vala, she gets burned alive. That is brutal. Surely that would be capable of generating sympathy for the character. After all, instead of just being told some tragic tale that may or may not be true, we're actually seeing this character go through a terrible experience. For sure, this is going to create a long-lasting effect in the character, which might even help her connect with those living under the thumb of the Ori. She'd feel compelled to help those people, which would subsequently catapult her into a character journey which would inspire the audience to root for her. But in the very next scene, we see Vala's grating personality has resurfaced.
I love a good yarn.
burning to death apparently had no effect on her. There are more problems with Vala's character than what I've addressed here, and honestly I find it vastly disappointing that the writers of SG-1 only seem capable of writing female stereotypes, such as the perfect one, i.e. Samantha Carter, and the femme fatale, i.e. Vala. I won't get into that now, but if you want to watch my video on Samantha, you can find it linked here. Granted, I am somewhat simplifying both characters with such descriptions, but that's ultimately what they boil down to. Anyway, getting back to the topic at hand, I would love to hear your thoughts on what makes a self-destructive character well written, and who your personal favorite is. And if you disagree with me regarding Vala, be sure to let me know why. Also, I'm currently writing a series featuring a self-destructive character that takes place in the Star Wars universe. So if you're interested in that, you can find book 1 linked in the description. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay tuned for all future content. Also, if you're looking for more ways to show your support, consider becoming a patron, link in the description. I'm your alibi, and I will see you next time.